This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this? Dun, 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 dun.
This is a sham.
No. Nope. Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Welcome to DBL. Hello, everyone. It's 2222.
Yeah, we're having a little Groundhog Day chat before.
Groundhog Day, very special day.
It's gonna be a good day.
I know, good day. And we got the beautiful Lindsay. She's joining us from home. Lindsay, how are you doing?
You know, all the snow is really putting a damper on my day, but it's all good.
I knew as soon as I saw you, you were mad about the snow. We love you. You're here in spirit, and we can't wait to get your opinion. Let's talk actually about this. Everywhere, it's everywhere, and I'm sure you all are talking about it too. Whoopi Goldberg has been suspended from The View for 2 weeks. Now, it's because of comments she made on Monday about the Holocaust. And if you haven't seen it, here is exactly what she said. Take a look.
The Holocaust isn't about race.
No.
It's not about
maybe
race.
ethnicity.
Well, they
No,
consider
it's
Jews
about
a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about
Well,
race.
what is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man. That's what it's about.
But it's about white supremacy. It's
Well,
about
but
going
it's not-
after
it's
Jews
not about
and
race.
gypsies and
But these are two
Romas.
white groups of people.
So Whoopi tweeted out an apology and then went on to the Colbert Show Monday night to try and explain and apologize again. She also apologized on The View yesterday. The ABC News president called Whoopi's comments, quote, wrong and hurtful. She also said she asked Whoopi to take the time to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments. So let's break this down. Lot to unpack, lot to say here. What was wrong, first of all, about what Whoopi said? Some people are like, I don't even see the problem here. And just to be very clear, I've done a lot of work on this and learned about this in my life. And if you didn't know, it's confusing because Jews are sometimes white and it looks like it's not a skin-based color. But Hitler believed in a master race. That's the facts. He wanted a master race. He believed in an Aryan race. And anyone who didn't fit that was an inferior race, like the Jews, homosexuals, gypsies back in the day, lots of Polish people, millions. So anybody
Black
else
people,
was to
don't
be...
forget Jesse Owens in the Olympics.
Black people, exactly. Any minority. And they would measure people's heads scientifically, measure their noses. If it wasn't a blonde hair, blue-eyed look, you were to be euthanized. So that was what was wrong about what Whoopi said. And
they also euthanize a lot of special needs.
And disability, please. So please tell me what you think about what was wrong. I don't want to be the only one
you know
talking.
what? When it's a question of race, or anything like that, Erica, Lindsay, myself are here to jump in. But I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Right.
You are a proud Jewish woman. How did this impact you? What did you think when you watched that clip at home when we got our packet? I
totally understood the confusion that Jews look on the surface white. The white Jews look white, and that doesn't seem to be racial to a lot of people. It seems to be ethnic or religious. That's totally understandable. If you know the history, and that's important why we teach history, is most of it came around Hitler's theory of the inferior race. He saw it as race. So it's not how we see it, it's how Hitler saw it. And Hitler wanted to take out, eliminate, and literally euthanize anyone who didn't fit the master race. And that means, just like with black people and having sex and having children and having blood of blacks, you couldn't have sex with a Jew or a black person or a gypsy because then your blood would run with the inferior race, right? So experiments were done on us, things were done because we were medically not seen as human. So I understood Whoopi's confusion. I understood Whoopi's apology. I also understood Whoopi went on Colbert and explained that she was wrong. And I want to get to this point because this is where I bring you all into this. Why was she suspended? And I want to know if you think she should have been. There's more to the story. Joy Behar addressed Whoopi's suspension for like 3 seconds because she's mad at the top of today's show. But several tabloids are reporting that all of her co-hosts, including Joy, are, quote, furious with the network's decision to suspend her, while others are reporting that some employees are upset that it took the network 2 days. So I go to you on this, guys. Do you think Whoopi deserves to be suspended or maybe fired? Lindsay, what do you think?
I think, like you said, it was spot on. There's a mischaracterization and misunderstanding of the Holocaust, even as adults. And so if we're not getting the proper teaching about it in schools, and then if you're going to be somebody who has a public platform, if you're not informed about it, it can cause issues like this. But when you think about all the disparaging remarks that different people have said over the years, the consequences have been vastly different across the board for different people. And when you think about what Whoopi said and how there's an anti-defamation league, which I admire, for people that are Jewish, they fight strongly for anything that is against what they think, what is right. And so if there's something that's disparaging that's said against a Jewish person, they're fighting and in the face of the leaders of all the companies immediately, and action is generally taken immediately. And so that's why a lot of the groups and coalitions that fight for causes need a group as strong as the Anti-Defamation League, so that there can be change made in that instance. So I understand why ABC, Disney would suspend Whoopi, because the options after that, if they did nothing, would look a little ridiculous, especially when you're fighting against a group that has the means to fight long term.
Erica, what do you think about her being suspended? I appreciate those comments.
Yeah, I agree with what Lindsay said. I also think I understand where the anger from her co-host is coming from, because just like we sat at this table and we could listen to you, a Jewish woman, reflect and give your knowledge, vast knowledge,
right,
and also how it personally impacts you.
Right.
And we could have a nuanced conversation about this, and not nuanced in the way that we generally have conversations
right. There's
about
facts
sensitivity issues of sensitivity. It's just the idea of opening it up as a teachable moment, not only for that person in the moment, but also for the viewers, because I know for a fact that sitting here listening to you from your knowledge and experience has illuminated this entire conversation for someone, many people at home. So was it a missed opportunity to suspend her? I think that might be a little bit of the vein that might be running through the thoughts of her co-host. I think also when we're having these conversations, yes, people get canceled, suspended all the time. There generally is a portfolio, if you will, of other instances
right,
that lend itself to what the nature and what the intention is behind what someone says. I say this all the time. We sit here and this is like a landmine, because we are live and we are speaking in the moment, and sometimes we are going to say things that it comes out one way and that wasn't our intention. As a rule of thumb for me in general, I'm not going to try to, break down and dissect the Holocaust or something of that nature, but I can understand how that would happen.
Al, what do you think?
Just really quickly, and I know people are upset about this suspension. Her co-hosts are. I think if I got suspended for 2 weeks, if I had made those comments, I'm sure you guys would text me and say, I got your back. But I would hope you would understand that DBL damn well better suspend me, because we have to set a precedent for things that are said on the show. And whatever my intentions were, my impact was not what I intended. And there have to be provisions in place for what happens when that goes down, because when it happens to somebody, I hope you guys like me, if it happens to somebody that we don't like, we also want those same rules in place. It cannot be a favorites thing. Tucker Carlson has been suspended for egregious comments and brought back, and Whoopi has been suspended and she will be brought back. There are some things that you cannot leverage your way out of and you are fired, and some things you can. And I think this is a situation, a learning moment, but sometimes you learn with a little bit of discipline. So yeah. I'm okay with that, and I hope her co-hosts understand that they had a responsibility to suspend her.
I appreciate that. When you have a platform, I think you're absolutely right. I just want to say we will never forget in the Jews, we will remember, and that means the details, the facts, so that this can never happen again. So that's why it's so very, very important. Coming up on DBL, our interview with sex therapist, Dr. Tammy Nelson. Is it really harder to stay monogamous in this day and age?
Impossible.
Okay, Al, plus celebrating with no school. Do you agree with Cincinnati's decision to close down the district the day after the big game? Yes.
Closed captioning provided by
really quickly, I actually don't agree. Are you guys talking about Bubba the Love Pillow?
He was a big time syndicated radio guy out of Florida. He was like a bootleg Howard Stern. He was like around Mancow's level.
A shock jock.
Shock jock, that late '90s shock jock. I know he's. What's that?
Right wing.
Oh yeah, right wing. But he was. I think Bubba the Love Sponge was.
That's like
Who
the grossest.
Hulk Hogan was involved with spouse in Hulk Hogan's famous tape. So yeah, isn't that weird? We're
Okay,
talking to you about
really
radio.
quickly, I want to say this very quickly.
Yeah.
Well, why are we talking about him?
I don't know.
Oh, because Tucker Carlson went on.
I
his
don't
show
agree
and
that
said
she should have been
crazy
suspended.
stuff.
I don't think
they
she should have
said
been
it was a
suspended.
long planned vacation.
And I disagree with Al on that, and I think we'll get into it when we talk more about it. But I
What's
don't
that?
agree she should be suspended.
No, talk to me.
I think the point of The View is The View, and that you're allowed to have these conversations. And if you start punishing people for saying something that wasn't offensive intentionally, then where are we going?
But then are you going to legislate intent? Because if they bring a guest
She
on,
certainly
and they,
didn't have malicious intent towards
but
Jews.
that's your opinion.
But has she ever had a problem
That's my
with-
opinion as well. But if somebody goes and says slavery was not that bad, let's be honest, guys, and that's the headline on a guest host for The View.
But she didn't even say that.
They
She
have
just-
to have a protocol in place for
No, I
when
hear you.
somebody makes a headline.
I agree with that, but the truth is that there has to me, intention is also rooted in experience, like what you've done in the past. If she had
Right, she does not
continued,
anti-Jewish.
right, to double down, and then
Right.
this happened.
Yeah, I don't think she should have been suspended. Welcome back to DBL, the Washington football team, huh?
Yeah.
DC. Okay, officially announced its name this morning. They're now the Washington Commanders. Huh? Okay. They also Lindsay goes, yo. They also unveiled a new logo, some uniforms. Now the name was chosen in part to incorporate the military because of the connection to the nation's capital. Lindsay, you had some audible things to say. What do you think of the Washington?
I said no,
Oh,
not.
no.
I mean, and I know I'm like, because it's attached to the military, I love that for the military, but also I think that the Commanders is just like not. It doesn't make me like. I was thinking about all the football teams. Like I grew up in New York. We had the Giants, the Jets. They all are like really quick, roll off the tongue names,
Right.
and then the Commanders. Like so many syllables, just too much going on.
So
like,
many
You
syllables.
can't have a
easy.
3-syllable team. You're
Let's
exactly
go
right.
Washington Commanders.
It does. You know
It
what?
doesn't
It
roll.
does really feel more NCAA than it does NFL.
That's a good point.
It feels like, yeah, there should be like a let's go Commanders, let's go.
Yeah,
You know
like
what I
it's a high school like Division III team that's like somewhere in like Utah, but you're not sure. And they're like, oh, the Utah State Commanders. Okay.
No, that works.
It doesn't sound like a pro team. I actually
No.
kind of liked the football team. Is that weird? It grew on me after 2 years.
Like, let it just stay that way.
Right? Yeah, I kind of liked the Washington football team. It was weird. It was different.
Well,
I kind of dug it.
Anything was better than what they had, so we're glad that it's there. Now, kids in Cincinnati, Ohio, have reasons to celebrate public
Shout out to
schools.
the 513, but Cleveland,
Okay,
we're different.
All right. In this city, they're giving the kids the day off, the day after the Super Bowl. It's to celebrate the Bengals making it to the big game. Now, a lot of people think that Monday should just be a national holiday. I fully agree. It's been a really hard year, okay? Let us have that one day. Sorry.
I love it. I love your passion.
You know, it's
Let's
actually
have
a real
it.
thing. Like Super Sick Monday is like a real thing. I think even during COVID, when many people were working from home, I read a study that 11 million people still called out sick on Super Bowl Monday. And so that is like a testament to how much people really truly need the day off.
And am I right? Cincinnati is not like, it's kind of like we didn't think they'd make it.
No, absolutely not. They didn't think they'd make it.
Good for you.
Well, it's also one of the least productive days, like, of the year because people are so tired and hungover. It's also a higher rate of accidents occurring, so this probably is a good idea. I would say that there's an added element to this too, because it's also falling on one of the most traumatic days for young love, because it's Super Bowl, or it's Valentine's Day on Monday.
Oh.
So it kind of kills a lot of birds with one stone.
Let's just have
Bengals fans don't care about
Also,
Valentine's
Erica,
Day.
please don't leave out that it's falling on your birthday this year, Super
gonna
Sick
say.
Monday.
It's my birthday.
But it's also, as a football fan, I'm from a city where we've never sniffed the Super Bowl. I don't even think we're allowed to even watch it.
Cleveland.
And so for Browns fans, I can understand this is a way to unite the city, to link a 7th grader with a 95-year-old Browns fan. This is a way for the whole city to galvanize. Cincinnati's on the come up, and they have a really scrappy team. It's from a scrappy, hard scrabble city. I think you should do it. I think it's good for bonding, especially during COVID.
What about morale, huh? The Bengals.
Who's their best player?
The player's named John Smith. Coming
He's a
up
good
on
one.
DBL, Dr. Tammy Nelson gets real about some of the taboo topics that you're too nervous to talk about with your partner, so stay with us.
Our sources are Team USA, USA Swimming, USA Wrestling, and the International Olympic Committee. The IOC oversees the Olympic Games and says there's no salary requirement for athletes. Instead, it's up to each nation's Olympic Committee to decide whether to compensate athletes. Team USA doesn't directly pay its athletes. Instead, some sports governing bodies, like USA Swimming, use registration fees to give top-tier athletes a monthly stipend. USA Wrestling has a Living the Dream medal fund to help athletes get by. Other sports get corporate sponsors and use the proceeds to cover some of an athlete's expenses. But it's false that athletes get paid to go to the Olympics. In fact, some give up regular income to go. A Team USA survey found more than half of elite American athletes earn less than $25,000 a year, with a quarter of them relying on non-sport related income. The good news is if athletes do well at the games, then they'll receive a bonus of up to $37,500 for each medal.
The Olympic Games always cost a fortune for the host country, but China isn't worried about turning a profit. The host country is expected to spend around $4 billion for Olympic-specific operations, but turning a profit was not a priority even before the coronavirus pandemic wiped out some big expected sources of income. Its long-term goal is to create a new domestic leisure and tourism industry, with the big ticket item being a city-to-mountains transport system. China's allocated $9 billion for a high-speed rail linking Beijing to those mountain ski resorts, and for the next few decades, those same train lines will be shuttling Chinese tourists to the ski slopes that have been carved out of the mountains. For China, it's worth the cost.
You renew your driver's license, your passport, but what about renewing the terms of your relationship? We sat down with sex therapist Dr. Tammy Nelson to talk all of those taboo things you may be too nervous to bring up to your partner. Check it out.
You might just call our next guest Dr. Love. Sexy, because she's a world-renowned relationship expert, sex therapist, and author. Please welcome to our show, Dr. Tammy Nelson.
Doc, how are you?
Doc, good to see you.
Hi. Thank you. I like the Dr. Love thing.
I do too, that's right. All right, Dr. Tammy, we all know monogamous relationships are super hard.
Tell me about it. I'm just kidding.
But what specifically makes them so difficult?
Well, I think today we're expected to live with someone and be, monogamous and attracted and excited for 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, sometimes 70 years. And there's no precedent for that. We know how to get divorced. We know how to cheat. We know how to break up, but we don't know how to stay sexy and hot.
I've always kind of wondered this, but I want to hear from your experience. What do men who cheat want, besides the obvious?
Well, I think people who are looking for outside relationships, and look, Ashley Madison, which is the Married but Dating website, has 75 million members worldwide. And it's not just men. Half of them are women. So what do people look for? They're looking to not so much for someone else, they're looking to be someone else. They're looking for a part of them that they can't, for whatever reason, express in the relationship they're in. And 72% of a recent survey of Ashley Madison members said that they would want to be in an open relationship if they knew how to talk about it. So people would rather be honest and open than lie. And I think that that's really where we're going with marriage today.
I could definitely see that. Well, we asked about the men. What do women want? Like, I'm good.
Good question, Al.
Half of our audience is curious.
Yeah, well, 82% of women in open relationships say they're pretty fulfilled. I mean, they want the same thing. They want good sex, they want good romance, and they want good emotional connection. We all want the same thing, and we want it. We want to live in integrity. You know, we don't want to hide and we don't want to lie. And so that's really what open monogamy is. It's being with one primary person, having that central commitment, but also having the flexibility and the fluidity to explore what makes us feel fulfilled.
You know, Dr. Love, listening to you, it almost sounds like traditional monogamy is dead. Do you think it is?
Well, you know, monogamy has always been synonymous with morality. And today, I think it's more about being honest. And if we can find a way that works for us as a couple, then that's really the key. I don't think monogamy in marriage is the same for everyone anymore. It's not your grandmother's, not your grandmother's monogamy, that's for sure.
That's true. We're talking about on a talk show like this openly, which I really appreciate and like, because I think a lot of people have questions. So how do you create a sustainable relationship that works for you and one where you can stay true to yourself? I'm assuming it has to be with communication, which no one's good at.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. How do you stay true to yourself and also another person, right? We want to keep our promises. That's what integrity means. But we also want to stay true to who we are as we grow. So you have to have this conversation over and over. You have to renew your monogamy, just like you would renew your license every couple of years. You have to renew what your monogamy means to you and have these conversations on a regular basis, because we change over time as we develop as a couple.
So, Dr. Tammy, I got to know about this micro-cheating. What is the definition of micro-cheating? What does that look like?
Well, I think you know it when you're doing it. It's like the little things that you do that you might not want your partner to know. Like if you're hiding your phone when you send a text, that might be considered micro-cheating. You know, if you're not like really transparent about your social media, that might be micro-cheating. Like we know when we're doing something that we don't really want to share, then that might be the beginning. It could be a slippery slope to something bigger, or it could just be those little things that bring us this like little thrill, and maybe that's okay in a relationship, and maybe it's a sign that something needs to be talked about.
Interesting. I love that we're opening this discussion. Thank you so much, Dr. Tammy, or Dr. Love, when you're on the show. You are truly a relationship revolutionary. And DBL Nation, we got Dr. Tammy's book, Open Monogamy. It's available now wherever books are sold. So if you're confused or you're questioning, get this book. Thanks so much. We'll be right back. Thanks Dr.
Doc.
Tammy.
Thank you.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
N95 masks are considered the gold standard to protect people from COVID-19, followed closely by KN95 masks. They were in short supply in the early days of the pandemic, but today you can readily find them online. But there's a catch. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says 60% of KN95 masks it evaluated were fake. So let's verify. Is there a way to determine if a KN95 or N95 mask is counterfeit? Our sources are the CDC, the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, or NIOSH, Project N95, a nonprofit clearinghouse that helps organizations get authentic personal protective equipment, Amazon, 3M, and patent safety organization ECRI. NIOSH is the federal agency that tests and approves N95 masks in American workplaces. A mask must meet rigorous standards to earn its approval, which is indicated by a unique number stamped in the front. The agency recommends people check the NIOSH number against its website to ensure the mask is legit. The mask should also have the NIOSH logo, a lot number, brand name, and model number on the front. 3M says if an N95 doesn't have any printing on it, then it's probably not authentic. Fake KN95 masks can be harder to detect, and ECRI says counterfeiting may be even more rampant. This is because KN95 masks must meet Chinese government standards, which require less labeling. Project N95 says at minimum, KN95 masks should have a label that reads GB2626, followed by either 2019 or 2006. Admittedly, it can be hard to tell what you're buying online. Amazon, one of the most popular online mask retailers, tells Verify it confirms N95 and KN95 masks are sourced from trusted manufacturers before listing them in its store, adding it implemented a, quote, rigorous seller vetting and product review process to ensure compliance with applicable laws, regulation, and Amazon policies, unquote. So it's true, there is a way to determine if a KN95 or N95 mask is counterfeit. Amazon says it offers refunds if a product isn't as advertised. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
On Monday, the Food and Drug Administration approved the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine for use in individuals 18 and up. Prior to that, it had been authorized for emergency use by the FDA since December 18, 2020. Following FDA approval, Moderna says the vaccine will now be marketed in the U.S. under a new name, SpikeVax. On Facebook, Verify viewer Lisa asked when the FDA-approved SpikeVax be released. But that implies that SpikeVax and Moderna COVID-19 vaccine authorized under the emergency use aren't the same. So Lisa, let's verify. Are SpikeVax and the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine the same? We went to these sources for an answer. According to the FDA and Moderna, SpikeVax and the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine that was authorized for emergency use are the same thing. They have the same formulation, according to the CDC data. So we can verify that, yes, SpikeVax and the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine are the same.
This February, connect with Al, Lindsay, Erica, Jeff, and Tori.
Leveled up.
Spirited talk. Get out of here.
Insane to me.
What are we talking about?
Honest emotions. You are so generous to me. Always entertaining. I think this is hooey.
And explain to our black viewers what hooey is.
Real conversations are on DBL.
And I like that.
Very nice. DBL, all new every day. It's called a dream job. That's for a reason. It's a dream job. All right, welcome back. It's time for a healthcare update sponsored by Go Health. Staying active with age not only helps you stay fit, it supports brain health, and this can slow down the aging process. So according to a new study, daily physical activities like jogging, walking, jumping jacks can actually prevent dementia. Staying physically active as you age supports a special class of proteins in your brain that enhance the connections between neurons. So get moving if you want to maintain a healthy brain. I bought some ankle weights and I started walking. If you're looking for a health insurance plan, Go Health makes it super easy to enroll. Call 1-800-650-2534 or visit gohealth.com to find the plan that's right for you. Linz, are you working out? Huh? You walking?
Tori, I'm still laughing about this John Smith player you made up on the Bengals, and Al let that rock, and I'm not going to allow this.
He's going to let it play.
I know nothing about sports, but I'm not going to allow this.
I will never correct her. I will never just let John Smith. He's going to have a big game.
For MVP, guys. All right, we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place.